How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper, and my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading while the price is going up or down. Ubisoft reveals next blockchain game, Champion Tactics, so they went forward with a Web3 game despite all the backlash. Champion Tactics, Gamora Chronicles, was quietly revealed later last week. It's an original PC game described as a player versus player tactical role-playing game experience. So it'll be PvP and then RPG. Champion Tactics will be Ubisoft's first game built on Oasis, a gaming-centric blockchain network that has attracted the interest of other gaming giants such as Square Enix, Sega, and Bandai Namco. So a lot of big names are behind it. The game will be released on the PC via dedicated desktop application, and the official website teases a free drop at launch to enable gameplay, so this is suggestive that you may have to have an NFT or a token to play, and you will get one for free, at least initially. So we'll have to see if that remains true or if it ends up to be a pay-to-play game. Kraken ordered to hand over user information to IRS. According to a Friday court filing, the company will need to produce full documentation for any Kraken user that bought, sold, or traded at least $20,000 worth of cryptocurrency between 2016 and 2020. Full documentation includes name, taxpayer identification number, physical address, phone number, email address, and transactional ledger. This is because there's a lot of people, there's about 4 million users, and only 288,000 people have filed official tax returns, so a lot of people are not claiming their taxes. A lot of people might not have gains or might have losses, which is probably something they're not taking into consideration, because you're not going to pay capital gains on losses. So our total market cap is trying to get a little bit of a bounce here. Stochastic is trying to run up, RSI is trying to run up, our momentum's trying to go up, VWAP's overall getting lower highs even though price is going higher, so we have a little bit of a divergence there. Our money flow is still riding under that neutral zone, so we are still bearish with money flow on the daily for our total market cap, but some of our altcoins graph is running rampant. Bitcoin dominance is still continuing to drop off, stochastic's falling pretty harsh, RSI is continuing to drop, momentum's falling, VWAP's still falling, and money flow is still coming out pretty strongly, so we could continue a drop if we don't start to rebound soon. Over on our futures, you can see we're above our value area high on our volume profile, and we're at a pretty decent top zone where we've had quite a few different drops from. So just keep that in mind from this zone because we're struggling to get past it. Stochastic's overall starting to weaken. We do want to run up. RSI is starting to weaken, but trying to run up. Slight bearish divergences there. Our momentum is overall curling over. VWAP is about to break through that neutral, so if it does make a full break, we could see the momentum print a red dot and start to waver. Our money flow is trying to go up, wants to break through that neutral, but we're trying to get in some issues breaking through. So if that doesn't start to ramp up from here and it starts to curl, we are in for some more downside, and we could fill our lower gap rather than the higher gap. Over on Bitcoin, we did manage to stay above our support area today, so that is good. We've been above it pretty much all weekend, so if we don't drop tomorrow, we may be able to make that higher run up to that other fill zone around 35k. Stochastic is trying to run down. Our RSI is overall getting lower highs, momentum still coming down, money flow still looking a little weak, and our VWAP is still under that neutral zone, so we still have bearish VWAP. So overall we're a little more bearish leaning still than bullish, but just remember that doesn't mean we can always have to drop, because Bitcoin does crazy things. Over on the 4 hour, our stochastic is trying to run up. You can see we're just riding this support zone. Stochastic's trying to ramp up, RSI is pretty flat. Money flow is overall coming out. VWAP is trying to get some bit of a bullish momentum, but we're overall getting lower highs, and we're starting to round off, so we could drop off from here. Over on the 2 hour, stochastic's starting to get bearish divergences. Our momentum is starting to curl away under that neutral. VWAP starting to curl away, so that could push our momentum down. Money flow is maintaining bullish momentum, but is struggling to kind of get anywhere above this like 7 to 10 zone. So if we don't push through, we could see a bit of a curl down, kind of like how the hourly is doing. Stochastic's starting to curl on the hourly, RSI is starting to curl. We are trying to bounce, but we're still struggling. Might have a slight wedge here, so watch out. Our momentum is starting to round off. VWAP's starting to round off, so everything on the 1 hour is starting to round, so we may break through and test the support another time. We've kind of just been whipsawing back and forth the last couple days. Over on graph on the daily, we are ramping up pretty decent off of that support zone. Stochastic's getting lower highs though, so we do have a little bit of a bearish divergence. RSI is trying to ramp up pretty strong. Our VWAP's ramping up pretty strong, and our momentum's getting a green dot, but our money flow is still bearish, so we still have that on the bearish side, but everything else is pointing a little more bullish, aside from that potential of a bearish divergence to form on the daily stochastic. Over on the 4 hour, we are somewhat getting newer highs on our stochastic, so that's good, so we don't have that divergence there. Zoom in a little. RSI is trying to ramp up. Our momentum looks like it is starting to curl off as our VWAP's heading down. VWAP did try to break through that neutral twice, kind of bounced just above it. If we do break and lose these zones, we could see some further downside with that momentum. Our stochastic's getting pretty tight, wants to start to dive down, so that could weaken our RSI as well, so keep an eye on that. Over on the 2 hour, our momentum's getting higher highs. We have a red dot though as our VWAP's in the bearish territory. Our money flow is maintaining bullish momentum, so that is good for us. RSI is heading up, our stochastic's starting to slide, so just watch out for the stochastic to start to take a dive. Over on the 1 hour, our momentum's overall starting to fall. Stochastic's getting really tight, wants to kind of ramp up, but if it gets tight and starts to make a bearish cross, we could see the RSIs start to curl off, and we could see a further drop. Our money flow is struggling to get above this 20 and starting to curl back down, so we could see a drop down. And our VWAP is rejecting away from that neutral zone, so it is giving strength back to the bears. Over on Anchor for the daily, we are trying to get near that value area low, but we just can't get through it. We can't even get near it, we just keep stopping just before it. Our stochastic wants to get a bullish cross. RSI is overall getting lower highs and starting to round off. Momentum struggling to stay above this neutral as our VWAP struggling to break through neutral. And our money flow is starting to round away from the neutral in the bearish territory, so our money flow is starting to go more into the bearish territory, and we could see some further drops. Over on the 4 hour, stochastic's really tight, doesn't know if it wants to break bullish or bearish right now. Our RSI is getting really tight, it's pretty much flat, so we are getting these exaggerated kind of flat movements, which are signaling that we don't really know where we want to go and we are losing some steam. If we start to get some bearish breaks, we could start to break down pretty quick. Our momentum wants to get a green dot as our VWAP is trying to push up, but if it rounds off and starts to break down, we could see that print a red dot and we could see some further downside. Our money flow did bounce off that neutral, so that is good, and we are trying to ramp up. But if we don't break through the 6 zone, we could see that money flow start to curl away, so just keep an eye if that happens. Over on the 2 hour, we are kind of just zigzagging around. RSI is trying to get lower highs, so that's not good for us as we're maintaining like similar highs on price, so we have a slight divergence that could form there. Stochastic wants to make a bullish cross and run up, so that could help save us if it's able to break through this 30 and actually gain bullish momentum. Our momentum wants to come up with a green dot as our VWAP's running up pretty strong, but our money flow is just zigzagging around and it doesn't really know what it wants to do. Overall, the bullish momentum seems to be fading out and we could see a bearish break. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic's trying to run up. RSI is starting to curl off though, so we're getting conflicting signals there. Our money flow is starting to come down. We were getting lower highs, so we are starting to weaken here. Our VWAP looks like it could start to round out, and if that does happen, our momentum's likely to follow. Over on XRP for the daily, we don't know why our profile always does that for XRP, but we did make it bounce off that value area high, so if we continue to see green candles, we could continue some upside. If we break through this 49-cent zone, that would be this value area node where we have a lot of buy and sell pressure. If we break through that, we could make a stronger move to this higher zone. Stochastic is trying to run up, RSI is trying to run up, VWAP's trying to ramp up, momentum's trying to come up as our VWAP's pretty strong. Our money flow is getting a decent push upwards, so we are starting to recover here. Over on the 4 hour, Stochastic has a bearish divergence and is heading down, so that's not very good for us. Our momentum's starting to curl out, VWAP's testing that neutral and could break bearish, so keep an eye on that. Our RSI wants to round off. Money flow is struggling to stay above that neutral as well, so our signals, even though on the daily are looking a little better, on the 4 hour look a little iffy. Over on the 2 hour, if we kind of look, we might have like a really long double bottom that could form that might be able to push us to the support resistance area around this 54 cent. We'll have to kind of see. Our momentum has a bearish divergence. Stochastic's overall coming down. Our money flow overall is rounding out, so if it breaks bearish, that could set us up to lose on the higher time frames as they're looking a little iffy. Our VWAP is kind of zigzagging around and doesn't know where the trend wants to be. So if this starts to drop, that momentum could start to fall with it and bring everything else down. Over on the 1 hour, our RSI is overall losing strength. Stochastic's trying to make a bit of a bounce here, so our Stochastic's pushing through that neutral and giving bullish momentum, so that could help save the RSI. But our RSI is diverging as price is making higher highs as RSI is making lower highs. So we have a new high, well, bit of a lower high, so we're kind of sloppy all over here. Money flows overall starting to round out. VWAP's zigzagging around here as well, so just watch if we start to curl up on the money flow. If we curl up with the money flow and the VWAP continues to move up, we could see our signal start to push higher. However, if everything else starts to curl in the next few candles, we could see a push down. And finally on algo for the daily, we are testing our point of control. Broke through slightly, but we bounced up. So if we are able to maintain this over the next few days, we could try to break through the value area high. Our Stochastic wants to run up, but it's getting very tight. RSI is starting to point down, momentum's getting a green dot, even though the VWAP's struggling to break bullish. So we'll have to see if that VWAP can break through tomorrow or not. Money flow is starting to come out, so we are looking a little more bearish leaning than bullish, I'd say, as the RSI is pointing down, money flow is coming out, and the VWAP's struggling. Over on the 4 hour, you can see we have a little bit of a bounce here, nothing too strong though. Stochastic looks like we could try to curl. If we get a good curl to the bullish side, that could help save us. Our VWAP is trying to push up, so if it does push through that neutral and break bullish, that could give us a decent curl for this momentum wave, and then we may be decent for the daily. Our money flow is maintaining bullish momentum. However, it's struggling to get past this 10, so we need to get past that and hold and continue to move. That way the daily can get some bullish momentum. Over on the 2 hour, we're getting a little bit of a reversal arrow, so just watch out. We did break down, so a reverse of that would be upside. Kind of like back here where we did break down, got a little bit of a reversal after pumping up a little, and then we continued to move. So that could happen again. However, just be wary, as it could also play out like this if we get a manipulation next or something bearish happens. Our RSI is trying to point up, Stochastic's trying to ramp up. It is pretty weak here, but if it does manage to go through the bullish zone, that would be good for us. VWAP is pointing up in the bullish territory, so we'll need that to continue as our momentum wants to print a green dot and keep going up. Our money flow is making a bounce off that neutral, so that is good for us. We'll need that to sustain and keep going so the other time frames don't start to weaken more. And finally, on the 1 hour, our money flow overall is still rounding out, so that's not too good. Stochastic's trying to run up pretty crazy, but our RSI is starting to point down. VWAP's trying to ramp up, but starting to curl out, so that could set our momentum up for a bit of a curl. So I'd watch the next few candles. It is starting to round out. So if the next few candles we get some drop, we may see a red dot form. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.